Hello and welcome to the next in the series of our Meet the Employer webinars, bringing you exclusive access to inside information from a wide range of employers. This series is run in partnership with Graduate Recruitment Bureau, the UK's leading recruitment service for entry-level careers. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Katie Hildyard, your host for the series, and I'm delighted to be joined by a number of former and current and undergraduate placement students at the Co-op to talk specifically about the Co-op's undergraduate opportunities that will be starting in summer 2021. On this webinar, we have Daisy, who completed her undergrad placement last year, Harriet, who is completing her placement right now. Harriet's actually dialed in, so you can't see her, but you will hear her. Josh, who is a returner to the Co-op following his graduation. And Cheryl, who is a former placement student and someone who's worked at the Co-op for an impressive 20 years. We're also joined by Emily from the resourcing team at the Co-op, who's also dialed in. So a big hello to all of you, and thank you very much for joining us today. Coming up, Emily will be sharing her top takeaway tips for those interested in applying for a placement next year, so make sure you stay tuned for those. Before we get started, however, I've got some quick housekeeping. The webinar will last no longer than 25 minutes, and if you experience any technical difficulties, don't worry, because a copy of the recording will be made available on the Co-op profile in your online career platform. This slide gives you an idea of the employers who have already taken part in the series, and we've got a number confirmed in the coming weeks and months. All the details can be found in your online career platform. So I've been fortunate enough to have a really good chat with our speakers today, and it certainly sounds like Co-op's undergraduate opportunities are excellent. We're here to give you a range of perspectives from both current and former undergraduate placement students and provide unique insight into what it's like to work as a Co-op undergrad. Now, I expect many of you are familiar with the Co-op for its food stores, but it's actually so much more as well. We'll give you a very quick overview before getting into the roles and benefits on offer here. Destined to be different since 1844, the Co-op is community focused. As the UK's 5th biggest retailer, with 2,500 local stores, in addition to funeral care, legal services and insurance, the Co-op exists to meet members' needs and stand up for the things the company believes in. With an over 10.2 billion turnover each year, the more successful the Co-op is, the more the company can give back to its members and their local community. And that's certainly what makes it a unique company to be part of. Now, Co-op's placement opportunities offer plenty of exposure and responsibility. So you'll have a very real job with projects to lead on, all whilst putting customers at the heart of what you do. So for starting in 2021, there's going to be 6 different roles. And I think, Emily, it would be really great if you could provide some insight into each of the roles available, as well as the range of benefits provided by Co-op.
Hi there, Katie. So just to kind of go through the roles that we have available. So we have 6 roles and 9 vacancies. So our roles are a junior buyer, an agriculture marketing coordinator, a product developer, a labelling assistant, a food policy coordinator and a food technologist. So our 12-month placement roles are individually very different, but regardless of whether you're in agriculture, labelling or buying, you'll be offered structured learning and development in roles with plenty of networking and experiences, both with the Co-op internally and our suppliers externally. So many placement students will get involved owning their own projects, which as you can imagine, can be hugely rewarding. So all while seeing the positive impact you can make on our customers, whether that's directly or indirectly. And it gives me a great pleasure to be able to talk you through some of our benefits as well. So we offer an £18,000 base salary, which is hugely competitive. And on top of that, you'll receive 20% discount in our Co-op stores all across the UK on all of our great food products. You'll receive excellent holiday days, 28 days holiday, plus your bank holidays on top of that. And actually, there'll be lots of opportunities to travel in some roles out to some of our suppliers across the UK. The technology to be able to do your job will be provided to you, including an up-to-date and modern laptop and smartphone. And obviously, if you're working from home, we'll be able to provide you all of the platforms you'll need to be able to do that. Exclusive deals will be available to you and access to wellbeing support through our great partner LifeWorks. What's really also a great benefit is we are actually based right in the heart of Manchester city centre, right next door to the Victoria train station and all of the bars and restaurants of Manchester. Obviously, if we are still all working remotely next year, you may not spend as much time as you may do in our Manchester office, but you'll still have access to there when you need to for team collaboration. You'll also get to work with great food products and amazing colleagues and teams across the co-op, which hopefully you'll be able to learn lots and lots from.
Brilliant, thanks Emily. So just further to that, and I think to help bring the opportunities at the co-op to life, we're now going to share insight with you from former and current placement students. Daisy, starting with you, and as someone who completed the placement last year, it'd be great to get a brief insight into your experience.
Hi. So the first part of my placement was actually spent at a production site, where the second half was at Coop's head office at One Angel Square in Manchester. So not only did I have this opportunity to work in 2 different environments, but I also got to visit numerous of the suppliers. So I've really got a fantastic insight into the food supply chain. And I was able to see products at farm, depot, manufacturing sites and shops. So I had a great increase in my knowledge of production and the development process. So it was really interesting stuff. And then after time spent in a particular production area, I was given the chance to lead projects, and I was actually the main technical contact for a product range that launched. So overall, really, a role in technical I found really fast-paced and interesting. Every day was offering new projects, as the role is dependent on whatever's going on the factory floor. So there's always something new happening. And yeah, overall, I got to gain leadership skills, which was really important for me. I got to work independently on projects that had a direct impact on things launching in stores across the country. So it was a great chance to develop. And you know, despite COVID, I was able to keep working, so I worked from home, and I still had great contact with my team and manager. So it was great to do that and still be able to work in the current situation, and of course see the food industry rise to the challenge of COVID, really.
Great, sounds really interesting, and certainly in terms of the range of opportunities are wide-ranging, as well as a particularly supportive environment to be in that adapted to the changes that we've obviously all had to face over the past 6 months. Thank you. Now, moving on to somebody who's actually taking part in the placement right now. Harriet, it's great to have you on the webinar, and I'd love to get insight into how you've found the first 6 weeks of your placement.
Hi, yeah, so even though I've only been at the co-op for 6 weeks or so, I've been really enjoying my time so far, and I've learned so many new things as the day goes on. The joining experience obviously wasn't as expected, as the inductions and meetings took place online due to the current situation. The setting in period consisted of a 2-week induction, which included Teams meetings with different departments in the co-op, which gave me a real insight into how a co-op runs as an organisation and all the amazing things they get up to behind the scenes, such as their commitment to the fair trade policy. I also did one-to-one team meetings, which allowed me to get to know members of my team and undergrad cohort better. Everyone I had the pleasure to meet during my first couple of weeks were very inviting, and I was made to feel part of the team from day one. Obviously, the COVID work situation was an unusual way to start in an area which is normally face-to-face. However, frequent calls and sharing screens on Teams allowed me to establish the training I need to carry out the role. I had constant communication with my manager, and these organised training sessions meant I never felt alone. I was also given the freedom and space to do my own work. Before joining, a WhatsApp group was set up with the current undergrads and the previous cohort, which meant we were able to get to know each other before joining. We are also working on a group project together, which we started from week 1. This allows us to get to know our roles and the other roles of the undergrads. This also gave me a chance to go into One Angel Square and use the state-of-the-art kitchens to carry out taste tests on the products we were reviewing. There is also a chance for you to live with other undergraduates if you're not from the area, and we frequently meet up for drinks when we can, so that network of support is always available. Hopefully in the future I'll be able to go into the office more after Christmas or towards the end of my placement and take part in some of the taste teams, supply visits and panels that I know the Co-op have planned for us. These are all things I'm looking forward to do in the future while on my placement.
Brilliant, thanks Harriet. And it certainly sounds like the support network is there. Certainly given that you're completely new to an organisation, working with completely different people, the opportunity to work closely with other placement students sounds like that you've had plenty of opportunities to do that even in the 6 weeks that you've been there. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's what makes Co-op stand out from other organisations, is that you've got such a big cohort of undergrads that you've always got for support.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, and having that support is so important, isn't it? Thank you. Josh, moving to you. It's really great to hear that following graduation, you were successful in getting a permanent role at Co-op. What was it that attracted you to pursue your career post-graduation at Co-op?
So after doing a 12-month placement on the agriculture team, which is still a placement that we still offer, it was pretty clear to me that I knew I wanted to work for the Co-op for a whole host of reasons. It's great that we're based in the north of England, which is where I'm from anyway. It's great to work in Manchester, which is a fantastic city to be based and to work in. It boasts lots of opportunities. The Co-op is quite competitive when it comes to salary and benefits, and that's always quite helpful when you're looking for a job fresh out of university. They've got a big focus on career development, so there is time set aside between yourself and your manager to focus on your key skills and objectives and where you want your career to go. And I find that really important to have that dedicated time with my manager to be able to discuss my career development, where my opportunities lie and how I can improve on my skills for the future. And they also are fantastic at giving people opportunities to really challenge themselves. So I've just completed 2 years on the agriculture team after coming back to the Co-op, but I've just started a role as a junior buyer in our produce team, which is not my background, but it's something I wanted to challenge myself on and learn more about the commercial reality behind our business. And the business are happy to give people that opportunity, that they may not know everything about that area, but if they believe in you as an individual, they'll give you that chance, and they'll allow you to really push yourself to the limits. They've got a fantastic balance of profit and principle. It's not all about making as much money as possible. It's also about treating people fairly, doing the right thing, championing things like fair trade, supporting British farmers, all those types of things. There's a balance that I think the Co-op is really good at finding. And then as part of that as well, the community focus and the amount that we give back to local communities, and the fact it's a cooperative that's owned by, I think, almost 5 million people, makes it feel like you're part of something much bigger that's about doing good for the local community.
Brilliant. And I think the point you make about the fact that they really genuinely do support your professional development, and in terms of having a proper structure to that, but B, also enabling you to move into areas where you perhaps don't have 100% of the skills, but it's an area of interest and you're willing to grow, I think is invaluable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something that I've valued a lot, and as part of those career development conversations, if you're quite open and keep that dialogue with your manager, and you say, look, I've done 2 years in this area and I'd love to go and experience this to develop myself further and develop my CV. The Co-op really respects people that understand all sorts of areas of the business, because it makes you aware of challenges that other people have to come up against in their roles. It makes you a better colleague and a bit more of an all-rounder, I suppose. So yeah, it's great that they're good at that.
That's great. Thank you. A really valuable insight there. And Cheryl, as a former placement student and someone who has worked at the Co-op for a very impressive 20 years, I'd love to know, what keeps you at the Co-op?
Hi everyone. So as Katie said, I was a placement student, and when the opportunity in my final year, well, last week of exams, came up for a full-time position, I applied for it. And although I have worked in the same role for 20 years, it really doesn't feel that long. My role and day job has totally changed. I've had 4 job title changes, numerous changes in the role descriptions to keep up with the times and the way Co-op works. We're constantly evolving and moving. I work on some amazing Co-op products our sister team develop, and I feel proud to tell family and friends about the great products I've worked on. And that one label that is really problematic to get legally compliant, I feel immensely proud to see it in store on shelf. Each day is very different. My job title is a labelling technologist, but it's not just labelling of Co-op products I do. One day I can be labelling washing powder, the next a ready meal or a bottle of wine, to a product that's completely new to market and I have to keep really quiet about. I also get involved in TV, radio and Co-op food magazine legal compliance sign-off, recipes on the social media platforms that we have, e-commerce product descriptions. The list really is endless. And I totally believe in the Co-op difference, our way of trading, our efforts and treating people fairly. My team is great, and touch wood doesn't change very often as our role is so specialised, so we're very close in work and friendships outside of work. I love working in our amazing home of 1 Angel Square. The facilities are absolutely fabulous. That is when we can go into the office. And like Josh, the personal development opportunities are huge. I am involved in this undergraduate working group, so every year I'm responsible for putting the recruitment plan into action with universities to pass on the great opportunities we have for you all, and also manage the labelling undergraduate, ensuring that they get the best time with us. I also lead a team helping our whole wider team of 130 people to bring a learning and development calendar of events for everyone to be involved in, from the Lunch and Learn programme to providing an annual learning day tailored just to our team's needs. I don't get bored, there is always something to do. Regulations are constantly changing to keep us on our toes. Brexit is our next challenge as a team. Co-op also has a great flexible working policy, so my work-life balance really works for me now I have 2 small children. Good luck with your application if you choose to apply to our Co-op undergraduate scheme.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Cheryl. And I think having that level of insight, and obviously having been worked in the company for as long as you have, it's really valuable to gain an in-depth understanding of the workings of an organisation. And it strikes me from what you've all said actually that there's a really strong, there's the combination of like a true belief in helping people develop, combined with the morals and the values that the company upholds, makes it incredibly sticky, if you like, you know, and I can see why people have stayed for so long or they've returned after their placement schemes. So yeah, it's really interesting, and certainly I hope that the students on the webinar today have found that insight useful. Emily, coming back to you, it'd be really good if you could briefly walk us through the application process for students that are interested in applying for the placement.
Absolutely. So it's quite a simple process. We're going to be advertising our vacancies on our careers website, which at the end of this presentation we'll share a link to. When you go onto there, you can choose which vacancy you would like to apply for, and you'll be able to set up a profile there. You'll need to answer a few screening questions, which are just yes/no answers, and then you'll be connected to a small questionnaire, which will take you between 10 and 15 minutes to complete. And then your application is pinged through to us and submitted. If you've been successful on that 10 to 15 minute questionnaire, then you'll be progressed onto our on-demand video assessment, which is basically where we'll send you a link for you to pre-record an answer to 3 short questions. So there'll be an introduction question and then 2 more technical questions, a little bit more about kind of the role and your skills and behaviours. That shouldn't take you too long to complete. They normally take between 15 minutes and 25 minutes to complete. And you'll have loads of opportunity to upload your attempts onto there. So that'll be the application process. And then what will happen is we'll be in touch with you, whether you've been successful or unsuccessful successful. And then you'll be progressed to a live video interview, which is where we'll be able to send you a link for a virtual platform, obviously based in these current times. But that's the application process in short. There is some more information about all of that on our website as well. So yeah, that's there.
Great, thank you, really useful. And we obviously have something coming up in a moment which will also help students on that front. Now, yeah, takeaway tips. So, and I'm not saying that this will be the case, but if students forget everything that they've heard on this webinar today, what tips would you have for them that you want them to make sure they remember for those interested in applying for the placement next summer?
I think first and foremost, I would do your research, have a little look on our careers website, have a little look at some of our colleagues' stories and learn more about what it's like to work for the co-op. Hopefully you've heard some great insight from undergraduate placements of last year, of this year, and of people that have returned to the co-op. But do your research, have a little look and make sure that the co-op is the right place for you. I'd also encourage you to be really passionate in your application process. The passion for joining the co-op and the passion for the role that you've applied to will really set your application apart, especially when we're probably expecting to receive quite a lot of applications based on the current situation at the moment. So yeah, that would be my top takeaways. Do your research, show your passion, and submit your application as soon as you possibly can.
Brilliant, thank you. Finally, can you share details about what you're looking for, as well as where students can go to find out more?
Absolutely. So hopefully we've given you loads of information about the co-op and our benefits and what's in it for you. And that's absolutely the most important thing. What we're looking for from you is some simple things. We want you to have a huge passion for food. You're going to join a food commercial team. You're going to join a business which prides itself on the food we offer our customers. So that passion really needs to be there. We want you to have loads of self-motivation. You're going to take some real responsibility. And obviously that self-motivation is really critical, especially when you may be having to work from home. You'll need a logical approach, and we're a fast-paced organisation, often with complex problems that you need to solve. So that logical approach will really be beneficial. You'll need loads of confidence to manage your own projects and high attention to detail. We'll need you to have excellent time management and organisation skills, which hopefully you've gained over your first few years at university. And then excellent communication and teamwork. You'll be dealing with lots of people inside of the co-op and outside of the co-op, so that communication will really be key. So if you can scan this code, that should take you straight to our careers website where you'll be able to view our 6 vacancies, read the job adverts and complete your application.
Super, thank you so much. So yes, make sure if you're interested to scan the code. We'll also have a copy of this recording which will be on the co-op's employer profile on our platform. So you will also be able to get it there as well. Thank you. So that brings us to the end of today's webinar. Thank you very much to all the speakers for joining us today and providing such valuable insight into the co-op's undergraduate opportunities. We certainly hope that all the students on this webinar found this session useful in giving you a really good idea of what you can expect from co-op's undergraduate placement opportunities. This webinar, as I mentioned before, is part of our Meet the Employer series. To find out more about others that we have taking place, simply go to your newsroom on this careers site, click the webinar tag. There you will see the details of all the webinars that we have confirmed in the series. We'd love your feedback. A short pop-up form will appear at the end of this session, so please just take a moment to let us know what you think. Thank you again for joining us today, and I hope to see you on a future webinar.